Hello there. It is quite an unusual Friday for us. I am hopping on here live, and it has definitely been one of the strangest weeks of my life, and probably yours as well. I am Julie Hirschberg. I am the owner of Re+active Physical Therapy and Wellness in the Los Angeles area, where we are socially isolating during this time of a virus rapidly spreading. And what a better time to hop on video, chat with people, share what we're learning, share what we're doing. I think it's the perfect time for connecting virtually. So this is something that we have been doing every week, every Friday before viruses were happening and keeping us from meeting in person. And we do this to share a lot of what we have been doing and what we're learning, especially because we have a movement disorder fellowship here at Re+active. And if you're new to us, welcome. Thanks so much for joining. Things have certainly changed a lot in the last week. Just last weekend, we were enjoying our Neuropracticity 2.0 course. And it was amazing. We did do it virtually, and we had a small group at our clinic. But this week, our practices have drastically changed. So I don't know about you, but here we are. We've moved some of our practice into people's homes or via telehealth. I think it's been a pretty stressful and scary week for most of the world. And today we're going to take a break from all of that and talk a little bit about some of the key points from the course that we just had last weekend and how we've been using them already and how they're helpful actually for things like telehealth. So today what we're going to talk about those key elements of neuropracticity that drive motor learning. We're going to talk about the method of amplification of error, MAE, to drive some motor learning. And I'll give a really nice example that Mike shared. And then we're going to talk about maladapticity, another new word, especially with functional neurologic disorders. And we're going to use this Riverbank analogy, and I'm going to actually show you it as we talk through it here. So probably no surprise as we talk about the key elements of neuropracticity to really drive motor learning. It's probably no surprise that they come from the optimal theory of motor learning. So that is providing autonomy, providing an external focus, and providing enhanced expectancy. So surprise, optimal theory. And I want to give you an example of one that we used with a patient in the course. So we had a patient, actually one of Claire's patients, who was concerned about walking and talking, and he loved to talk, and he was really quite brilliant at it. So Mike had him do a tug shuttle test, and you'll have to ask Mike about this test. I really love this test. He's doing some research on it, but essentially doing a timed up and go to a chair, sitting, coming back, to a chair, sitting, coming back, etc. And what I love about this is that, instead of doing kind of that serial subtraction or some other dual task during this, he had the patient choose his topic. And the patient chose Mets baseball. And so, one thing I learned more about Mets than I ever knew. But that little piece of autonomy tagged onto a standardized test was very powerful. I would say it was enjoyable for the person and for all of us to see that joy as he was dual tasking and talking about what he loved. So that was just one example of that providing autonomy. Second, I want to talk about this method of amplification of errors to drive motor learning. So essentially, taking what somebody maybe is having trouble with or having an error and like asking them to amplify it and then asking them to take it back. And this was something that Mike has some really great videos on. And my favorite example was a gentleman who had some circumduction as he was walking. And Mike had him on the treadmill and had all these little like Dixie cups on the side. And he said, okay, now I'm going to have you amplify that. And he had him actually aiming to kick those off of the treadmill. And then he said, okay, now you have to keep your leg in this line. So he had a line drawn on the treadmill, which, by the way, definitely have some chalk for your treadmills, right? So he drew a line on the treadmill and said, now keep it in. Okay, now swing it out, keep it in. And you could actually see the person's improvement with that amplification and then bringing it back down. It was really quite remarkable and not something I'd really thought of doing, to be quite honest. And then finally, I've got to share the Riverbank analogy. So we ended on Sunday talking about neuropracticity concepts in functional neurologic disorders. And this is something that Mike and Chelsea from our clinic, Chelsea Richardson, had put together to starting to help explain some of the concepts that contribute to a functional neurologic disorder. So we call this the Riverbank analogy. I'll kind of hold it up like this so that you can see it. And what you can see, I'm going to have to hold it to the side so I can point it out, is, in the idea of a river, you have multiple things contributing to that water flow. And you might have things like fatigue, trauma, sleep deprivation, stress, all contributing to the amount of water in that river. And the riverbank only goes so high, and then you can get an overflow. And what we might see in a functional movement disorders are tremors, jerks, gait changes. We could even use this for migraines. You see a migraine here. So what I love about this is then you have the sandbags on the side, and rehabilitation allows you to acquire and place sandbags to prevent the flooding, prevent the river running over. So the river runneth over. Rehab helps you build sandbanks here to prevent that. And I personally love working with our OT, who is very strong in the lifestyle management to help recognize and manage those triggers. So love the Riverbank analogy. We've started printing this out so that we can use it with people. And this is a great resource, part of our Neuropracticity course. And this is going to be part of our functional movement disorder update course that is coming up in April. We have some really great advances since the last time we presented this course. So we have a lot of updates. And I wanted to let you know that, excuse me, if you want to do that functional movement disorders course that's coming up in April, we're actually adding on a bunch of things to it because we've had a ton of education kind of sitting in the back burner at our clinic, with many of our clinicians excited to share what they're learning and doing, and many experts in different realms of neurology. We've had that on the back burner, and you know what? We have time right now to just unleash it. So we are going to open up the doors tomorrow to our Learning Gone Viral series. It's going to launch this weekend, Saturday, lots more to come, but basically we're going to do a series of little webinars just like this, 2 bite-sized courses every week, just about 30 minutes, simple topic, case, application on a wide variety of all things neuro, like rare diseases, graded motor imagery, talking through psychosocial issues, stroke and the idea of no plateau. So these are just a few of the topics. We're going to open the doors for that, keep it very low cost, high value for people, 2 mini courses a week for the next month while we're all hunkering down. And they're live. These are not recorded, so they're very interactive and a really good way to connect. So we're going to open the doors again tomorrow, Saturday, through Monday night, and kick it off next week because we're ready to learn for sure. And yes, we have been hanging on to this content for a while. This is just the perfect timing to unleash it. So If you're interested in more, by the way, tomorrow, Saturday morning, Mike Suter's doing a free webinar for us on even more, like the whole highlight reel of our Neuropracticity course. So I'm really excited about that. I'll put the link in for you to sign up if you would like to join that webinar, and stay safe out there. Join us in this community of learning, and especially in these uncertain times, it's the perfect time to stay connected virtually. It's what I love to do. It's what our team loves to do. And we hope you'll join us there. Thanks so much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you next week.